Imagine this. You've cut the sugar. You're working out. You're doing the steps, the podcasts, the meal prep. And somehow, that stubborn ring of belly fat? It doesn't move. It almost feels like it's laughing at you. You know that moment when you're buttoning your jeans and there's still that dig, that pressure point that won't let you forget? Or that morning mirror shot where your face looks leaner, sharper even, but your waistline? Exactly the same. You step on the scale, maybe down a pound, maybe 2, but you grab the tape measure around your belly and the number barely budges. So what do most people do? They double down. Less food, more cardio. More caffeine. More willpower. We're told it's all about calories in, calories out. Eat less. Move more. Period. But you already know this isn't the whole story. Because you've done that story. And your belly fat didn't get the memo. Beneath the surface, something far more powerful is happening. A hormone that's supposed to save your life is quietly working against your waistline. It's called cortisol. Your main stress hormone. Think of cortisol as your internal alarm system. It's what kept your ancestors alive when there was danger. But in 2025, that same alarm system is getting stuck in the on position. I'm not talking about the pinchable stuff under your skin. I'm talking about the deep belly fat that wraps around your organs like cling film. The kind that pushes your belly out and your health down. Science shows that chronically high cortisol doesn't just add belly fat. It can lock it in place, especially that dangerous visceral fat around your liver, your pancreas, your heart. So you're not failing your diet. Your biology might be stuck in survival mode. And here's the real twist. What happens in the first few days that you calm your cortisol might be more important than the next 3 months of dieting. So let's rewind. What actually happens in your body when cortisol is high, and why does it go straight for your belly? Once you feel that, everything else starts to make sense. You're eating less, but you're hungrier at night. You wake up tired, wired, maybe anxious. You snap at small things. Cravings for salty or sweet foods feel stronger after a stressful day. If that's you, it's not that you're weak. It's that your stress system is hijacking your fat loss plan. Cortisol is made by your adrenal glands, these 2 little hats that sit on top of your kidneys. Their job? Help you survive stress. Think of cortisol as your body's survival fuel manager. It decides when to release energy and where to store it based on how threatened you seem. Your brain has a stress circuit, brain, pituitary, adrenals. It's like a group chat that says, are we safe or are we in trouble? Here's how high cortisol blocks fat loss in the short term. Stress hits. Work, lack of sleep, constant notifications, emotional drama, even too much intense cardio. Brain says we're not safe. Cortisol rises to make energy available, breaks down stored fuel, raises blood sugar. Insulin then rises to manage that sugar. Elevated insulin plus elevated cortisol? That combo tells your body store fat now, especially in the belly, and don't let it go. It's like hitting the gas and the brake at the same time. Cortisol is flooring the gas, dumping fuel into the system. If you enjoy our content and find it helpful, we have something special for you. We've just launched our second channel called The Wellness Hub. On this channel, we guide you how to lose visceral fat in a healthy and sustainable way, with practical tips, simple routines, and science-based advice. So make sure to check it out, I'm sure you're going to love it. The link is in the description. Do subscribe and support us there as well. Insulin slams the brake, locking that fuel away in storage. Result? Traffic jam in your metabolism. Why the belly? Science shows your deep belly fat has more cortisol receptors than, say, your thighs. It's like your visceral fat is wearing a giant cortisol park here sign. So when cortisol is high a lot of the time, it doesn't just randomly store fat. It aims it right at your midsection, around the organs, where it thinks it can grab it back quickly in an emergency. That stress belly you hate seeing in the mirror? That's your body trying to save your life in a life that isn't actually killing you. Let's talk about the first 24 to 72 hours of doing everything right. You slash calories. You bump up intense workouts. Maybe you're sleeping less to fit it all in. Leaning more on caffeine to push through. In those first 2 to 3 days, your body's not celebrating. It's panicking. Energy intake drops. Stress from workouts rises. Sleep may get worse. Cortisol can spike higher, not lower. Imagine you're already juggling 5 flaming torches. And then you decide to add a chainsaw. That's what your stress system feels when you pile aggressive dieting on top of an already stressful life. Researchers have shown that people with higher chronic cortisol levels tend to store more fat around their organs, and they lose it more slowly, even when their diet and exercise are the same as others. In some studies, stress alone was enough to change where fat gets stored. So if you've ever thought my body just hates me, no. It's following instructions. They're just the wrong instructions for fat loss. So that's the bad news. High cortisol can literally block visceral fat loss, especially when you're dieting hard. The good news? Your cortisol rhythm is not fixed. It can be reset. And this is where things get interesting. Because once you start lowering and timing cortisol the right way, something weird happens. Instead of feeling weaker on your fat loss journey, you start to feel a strange surge of energy. Let's talk about why. Most people think cortisol is either good or bad. That's not how it works. You actually need cortisol. In the morning, it should rise like a gentle sunrise, waking you up, giving you focus. Then it should slowly fall across the day, like a dimmer switch, so you can actually relax and sleep at night. With chronic stress, this curve gets flipped or flattened. You wake up groggy. You're wired at night. And that broken rhythm is a huge signal to your body to cling to visceral fat. Let's call this metabolic safety mode. When your brain doesn't feel safe, it tells your body to conserve energy and store fat around the organs. This is why you can be eating less and your body still refuses to let go of belly fat. It's not counting calories. It's scanning for threat. Your body is less like a calculator and more like a guard dog. It doesn't care about beach season. It cares about survival. Here's what happens when you finally lower chronic cortisol. In the first 3 to 7 days of actually calming the system, sleep starts to improve slightly. Appetite becomes a bit more predictable. Evening cravings start to feel a tiny bit less intense. Why? The cortisol curve starts to normalize. Insulin sensitivity improves, especially around your organs. Your body begins to feel less under attack, so it doesn't cling as hard to visceral fat. It's like your metabolism has been holding its breath for months. Lowering chronic cortisol is that first, shaky exhale. Here's the core code to tattoo on your brain. Chronic high cortisol leads to higher blood sugar, leads to higher insulin, leads to more visceral fat and harder to lose it. Then flip it. When you calm cortisol, blood sugar swings shrink. Insulin doesn't have to flood your system 24/7. Suddenly, that visceral fat isn't protected anymore. It becomes available for fuel. It's like taking the do not disturb sign off your belly fat. Instead of feeling weaker, something strange happens. You start to have more stable energy. Fewer crashes. Less brain fog. Because your body's not in a constant alarm state, it doesn't need to hoard fuel like a panicked squirrel. It can actually use the fat it stored. Less need for 3 p.m. caffeine. Less revenge eating at night after a stressful day. Workouts feel slightly stronger, not like punishment. There are practical levers that affect cortisol. Sleep and wake timing, anchor the morning and night. Managing stimulants, caffeine timing. Exercise type and timing, not all workouts are equal when cortisol is high. Blood sugar stabilization, protein, fiber, meal timing. None of these are extreme. They're about sending a very clear message to your brain. We're safe. You can let go. Quick question for you. When do you feel your stress the most? Morning, afternoon, or late at night? Drop it in the comments, because when you feel it gives a big clue about how your cortisol rhythm looks. I read through those, and you'll see patterns in each other's answers too. So resetting this cortisol, insulin, fat triangle doesn't just change your belly. It starts to change your whole experience of being in your body. And this is where most people are shocked. Because when cortisol comes down, it's not just about the scale. There are benefits almost nobody talks about, and a few big fears we absolutely need to clear up. Science shows that chronic high cortisol can literally shrink parts of the brain involved in memory and focus. When you bring it down, people often say it feels like the fog is lifting. That constant edge, the quick temper, the low-grade anxiety? Those aren't personality flaws. They're often chemical states driven by disrupted cortisol. You fall asleep faster. You wake up fewer times at night. Sleep goes from a nightly battle to something your body actually wants to do. Cortisol is tied to inflammation. Less chronic stress can mean calmer skin, fewer random aches, even better digestion for a lot of people. All of this feeds back into better metabolism. Less inflammation, better sleep, calmer appetite signals. It's a positive spiral instead of the downward one you've been stuck in. You might have heard that cortisol breaks down muscle. That's true in certain contexts: intense overtraining, starvation, no recovery. But remember, we're not trying to erase cortisol. We're trying to normalize it. When cortisol comes back into a healthy rhythm, you recover better from workouts. You sleep deeper. Growth hormone and other repair hormones work the night shift properly. That's not a recipe for muscle loss. That's a recipe for better body composition, more lean tissue, less visceral fat. A lot of high performers secretly believe my stress is my superpower. If I chill out, I'll get soft. Acute stress, short bursts? That can sharpen you. That's the good cortisol spike we want, like a healthy wave. Chronic, never-ending stress? That's like being stuck in a storm. You don't surf in a hurricane. Think of stress like volume. You want clear, powerful music when you're performing, not a broken speaker blaring 24/7 in the background. Researchers have found that people with healthier stress responses, spikes and then full recovery, actually perform better over the long term and have better metabolic health. You absolutely need cortisol. What's dangerous is distorted cortisol, too high for too long, at the wrong times of day. We're not trying to shut down your stress response. We're training it to turn on when it should and turn off when it's done. Think about a fire alarm. You want it to ring when there's an actual fire, not every time someone makes toast. You might have heard the phrase adrenal fatigue, like your adrenal glands just get tired and give up. That's not what mainstream endocrinology supports. What's more accurate is something called HPA axis dysregulation. Fancy phrase, simple idea. The system that controls cortisol is out of sync. The group chat between brain and adrenals is a mess. Good news? Systems can be retrained. That's what the rest of this is about. So when you're working with your cortisol instead of fighting it, you're not just chasing a smaller waistline. You're rebuilding how safe your body feels, which changes how it stores energy, how it ages, how it thinks. If you enjoy our content and find it helpful, we have something special for you. We've just launched our second channel called The Wellness Hub. On this channel, we guide you how to lose visceral fat in a healthy and sustainable way, with practical tips, simple routines, and science-based advice. So make sure to check it out. I'm sure you're going to love it. The link is in the description. Do subscribe and support us there as well. Now the real question is, how do you take this from an interesting science lesson to a long-term strategy that quietly rewrites your future health? Most people treat fat loss like a 30-day challenge. But visceral fat isn't just about looking better in a month. It's about whether you're stacking the odds for or against your future self. Picture two futures. Future 1, keep ignoring cortisol, chasing only calories. More belly fat with age. Higher risk of diabetes, heart disease, fatty liver. Tired, inflamed, mentally foggy at 50, 60, 70. Future 2, you address cortisol now. Less visceral fat. Better blood sugar. Sharper brain, stronger heart, better sleep, compounding year after year. Here's the rule most people miss. Your body won't burn fat freely until it feels safe. Calories nudge the scale. Cortisol decides where the weight lives. Anchor your day in the morning. Get light in your eyes early. A real breakfast with protein if you're not metabolically flexible yet. Don't start the day with a cortisol bomb of emails, news, and caffeine on an empty stomach. During the day, stop sprinting all day without micro breaks. Even 2 to 3 minutes of deep breathing between tasks tells your brain we're not being chased. Use exercise as a signal, not self-punishment. Strength training a few times a week. Some walking. Cardio that leaves you energized, not wrecked. In the evening, guard your wind down. Dim lights. Fewer screens. No late-night argument threads in your DMs. You're training your cortisol curve to slope down. With food rhythm, stabilize blood sugar. Real meals, protein, fiber, fewer constant snacks. Every wild spike is a stress hit. If you've been stuck with visceral fat for years, it can feel like betrayal. But the deeper truth is this. Your body has been overprotecting you. Not punishing you. When you start working with your biology, especially your stress biology, you're not just losing fat. You're renegotiating your relationship with your own body. You go from fighting your body to leading it. Imagine 6 to 12 months from now. Your waist is a few inches smaller. Your doctor is double-checking your blood work because it looks better than last year. You wake up before your alarm, not in a panic, but with a quiet, steady energy. That's not magic. That's what happens when your cortisol finally starts working for you, not against you. People who truly learn, engage. If this helped you, like the video, share your insight in the comments, and subscribe for future breakdowns.